college student Akane meets her boyfriend Takuma at a cafe where he regretfully informs her that they need to break up since he found another girl online. Akane and Takuma play an MMORPG called Forest of Savior that he had introduced to her. Akane is shocked that her boyfriend cheated on her with a girl he met online, and vents her frustration to her best friend Momoko. To make matters worse, Takuma also asks Akane for important online items he gave her. After Momoko leaves to go to class, a depressed Akane decides to play video games and cut class. Akane did not used to be a gamer, but started after Takuma asked her, and she now regrets becoming addicted to video games for a guy she liked. In FOS, Akane quickly takes out her frustration on a group of mobs when she is approached by her online guildmate Yamada. Yamada is known to be distant and unsociable, so she is surprised when they engage in small talk. Yamada asks if Akane is hunting mobs for a super rare drop, but Akane quickly explains her relationship situation and the fact her boyfriend has left her. But after a few minutes, Yamada ignores her situation and asks her if she can leave the hunting ground so he can hunt for the rare drop. An angry Akane starts to rant at Yamada because he is dismissive of her relationship troubles. And when he doesn't seem fazed, she decides she's going to stay online in the hunting ground as long as possible to get back at him. Later, Akane gets a notification that the game is holding a special 1-year anniversary in real life, and it reminds Akane of her breakup. She starts crying and wonders if Takuma and his new girlfriend will be going to the online event together. Eventually, Akane stops gaming to go to class and she meets with Momoko at college. Akane asks Momoko if she will go shopping with her, as Akane intends to dress up and make Takuma jealous at the event. So after college, Akane gets new clothes, a haircut, and a massage to prepare for the Forest of Savior Autumn Festival. At the event, Akane is impressed with the popularity of a real-life event for a video game and is worried about her wallet, but she quickly runs into her ex-boyfriend Takuma and his new girlfriend Eri. She tries to run after them but is bumped by the crowd and falls. A boy helps her recover her lost shoe, and although Akane finds him very attractive, when she explains herself the boy seems cold and distant. But his coldness reminds her of Yamada, her guildmate, so Akane hesitantly asks if the boy is actually Yamada. Yamada is confused and wonders who she is, but before she can answer, Takuma and Eri suddenly arrive. Akane tries to make him jealous, but Takuma completely ignores Akane to fawn over Yamada, who is a famous pro gamer. Akane decides to take advantage of the situation, and she tries to pretend Yamada is her new boyfriend. Yamada immediately denies this, but after Akane quietly begs him to help her and she bribes him with in-game items, he accepts and pretends that they are dating. Takuma is completely devastated, but he is a huge fan of Yamada and follows him obsessively on Twitter. But Akane confused the situation for despair over loving Akane and isn't happy to see Eri comfort him. Later, Akane and Yamada head to a local restaurant where Akane is in a bad mood over what happened. Yamada wants to go home, but Akane has dragged him to the restaurant so that she can drink and cry, and she doesn't want to be alone. A drunk Akane starts to complain about her relationship problems, but Yamada is a little confused and only now realizes that she is a guildmate of his. But when Akane starts to cry over her lost relationship, Yamada starts to feel bad for her, so he decides to stay and order some soda. Akane wonders about Yamada's pro gamer status, and he explains that he is a minor celebrity and pro FPS player. She wonders if Yamada is popular with girls, but he tells her that he isn't interested in romance and only cares about gaming. Akane thinks that this is a waste of his good looks, and after they talk about romance, she goes to the bathroom to clean up. Akane regrets going to the event and seeing Takuma, and when she returns to the table, she finds Yamada missing. A depressed Akane wonders if she is all alone now since Yamada clearly wanted to leave, but before she gets into a depressed spiral, Yamada appears and asks if she is alright. The touched Akane is about ready to cry when Yamada asks her to sit down and he helps her with a scrape from her fall. She wonders where he went, and he tells her he went to the bathroom since he drinks lots of soda, and after she cries a little, they drink for several hours. Later, a hangover Akane wakes up in an unfamiliar bed hearing someone playing a video game. She wakes up to see Yamada at his desk playing a video game, and after he excuses himself to talk to her, a shocked Akane falls out of his bed. She panics and wonders if they had a one-night stand, but he quickly tells her that nothing happened. Akane had actually passed out at the restaurant, and since Yamada had no idea where she lived, he took her back to his place to rest. Yamada also dryly points out that he had to clean up her clothes after she vomited on them, and after Akane apologizes, he kicks her out. The sad Akane returns home apologizing to her mother in her head for being a failure. But after returning home to her apartment, she discovers that she has lost her necklace. She searches her belongings but can't find the necklace, and then wonders if Yamada accidentally took it. She logs into FOS and meets the guildmaster Rorihime for her guild chocolate rabbit. But after finding out Yamada is offline, Akane explains her situation with the lost necklace, which is important to her because it was the first gift Takuma gave her. Rory decides to help Akane because she also gets lots of gifts, when suddenly Yamada logs in. But Rory gets distracted and the two of them just talk about video games instead. Akane sends a direct message to Yamada about the necklace, but he doesn't know where it is, and he quickly returns his discussion to criticism about the guild storage. The guild storage is overflowing with random trash and is unusable, and Akane is crushed because she had been the ones to donate items, and had filled the guild storage. Akane had thought that items would have been useful to new players, but after Yamada criticizes her she angrily logs out. Yamada later discovers Akane's necklace was at his place, but he accidentally steps and breaks it. Akane has a dream that Takuma has given her a present to make up for his cheating, and he would like them to get back together, but the dream turns into a nightmare when the present is Eri. Later Momoko jokes about Akane's bad dream over breakfast together, and she becomes interested to hear about Akane's adventure at the event and meeting Yamada. Momoko quickly deduces that her friend is still not over Takuma, even though Momoko thinks that Akane wasn't a very good boyfriend to her. Later Akane is heading home but wants to avoid games because of the incident. At the guild, she walks by a high school girl confessing to a boy and thinks warmly about high school romance. But she suddenly hears Yamada's voice and discovers that the boy is Yamada. After Yamada coldly rejects the girl's confession, Akane accidentally gets his attention, but then criticizes his behavior. But she discovers that Yamada didn't know that he was getting confessed to, and she tells him he needs to learn how to be more social. Yamada tells her that he was looking for her, and he returns her necklace. But Akane is sad to see it broken and she quickly excuses herself. But when she leaves the station it starts to rain and Yamada runs after her to give her his umbrella to use, telling her that she doesn't need to return it. The next day Akane is sadly looking over the broken necklace when several delivery men appear with tons of boxes. She finds out her mother is cleaning up her house and has sent a bunch of Akane's junk to her apartment. A completely overwhelmed Akane gets Momoko to help her organize her junk, and after jokingly criticizing her friend's hoarding behavior, Momoko helps to throw out lots of Akane's stuff. Momoko later finds the broken necklace and asks if Akane wants to throw it away, and thinking about Yamada's words about useless items in storage, Akane decides to throw away the necklace. She decides that she can't always hold onto precious things and must throw things away, representing her acceptance over the breaking of her relationship. Akane and Momoko leave to go get drunk, and the two of them show up drunk at Yamada's place to return his umbrella. A thoroughly unimpressed and annoyed Yamada has no idea what to do with the two drunk girls, and after Momoko becomes too affectionate, Yamada threatens to call the police. Akane tells him that she also came to thank him for helping her, and that without his help her time at the event would have been horrible. She then grabs Momoko so they can go home. But before they leave, Yamada tells Akane that their guildmaster was wondering why she hasn't logged into the game in several days. And realizing that Yamada is trying to apologize for his past behavior, Akane agrees to play again. They end up playing FOS together late into the night, but Akane gets overwhelmed by monsters when Yamada accidentally falls asleep. One day Akane is at a singles gathering after college that Momoko had set up. But after some awkward flirting from a college guy there, Akane quickly signals to Momoko that she just wants to go home. After the guy asks if she is into mobile gaming, Akane reveals that she is a MMO player, which quickly spoils the mood. Later Momoko and Akane are returning after the date, and Momoko complains that Akane isn't trying very hard to be social. Akane tells her that she was distracted by text messages from her guildmaster Rory, but Momoko wonders if that her cute guildmaster is some old dude on a computer. Akane has never met Rory in real life, so she wonders what Rory might be like when a well-dressed girl walks past her. Akane goes home to play video games, and when she logs into FOS she sees Yamada and Rory having a conversation. Realizing that they don't realize that she has logged in, she accidentally eavesdrops on their conversation. Yamada and Rory are talking about the early days of the guild, and Rory is happy that the guild has grown, but she misses the times when it was just her and Yamada. Akane wonders if there is something going on between the two of them when Yamada notices her. Yamada goes to log out when Rory accidentally reveals that she knows Yamada's phone number. Akane realizes that Yamada doesn't really hang out with other guild members except for Rory, and she wonders if they are in a relationship like she and Takuma were, and she gets a little depressed. And even at college the next day Akane can't stop thinking about them dating, and she thinks about stalking Yamada's Twitter. After class she gets recommended by the guy at the group date, and he tells her about trying out FOS. She wonders, since guys like games, if he was familiar with FPS games like Yamada, but the guy quickly reveals he doesn't know very much about gaming. Suddenly on the way home, she spots the well-dressed girl from a few days ago meeting Yamada at the station, and the two of them walk away together. Akane wonders if the girl and Yamada are dating, but is confused because Yamada said he has never had a relationship. She is also confused by why she feels sad over this. Later at her apartment, Akane is relaxing when Rory asks if Akane can get online. Akane doesn't really feel like playing video games, but Rory tells Akane that FOS announced a new real-life event at a cafe. Rory asks if Akane will go to the event to meet the other guild members, and that Rory has already met, and asked Yamada. Akane wonders if the girl she saw really was Rory, and she hesitantly accepts. A few days later, Akane wakes up the next morning getting spam texts from Rory, who is excited about the cafe meeting. Akane decides to dress up for the meeting even though Momoko is nervous about her meeting with strangers. But after finding out that Yamada is going, Momoko becomes less worried and tells Akane to have a good time. But when Akane arrives at the event point, she has trouble finding the cafe. Akane accidentally drops her phone and is helped by a boy who is also going to the cafe event. She hesitantly accepts his help to get to the cafe and wonders if he has bad intentions. But after he excitedly rants about game mechanics, Akane is relieved because he is just a harmless gamer. Akane professes that she is just a beginner at the game and that she had recently been yelled at about filling up her guild's storage with trash. Suddenly, the well-dressed girl waves at them and Akane sees Yamada. Akane runs up to say hi, but the girl looks at her suspiciously. Akane tries to greet the girl, who she thinks is Rory, but after she is coldly ignored, Akane realizes that the boy she met earlier is the real Rory. Rory Hime is actually the game avatar for Ada, who started the guild with Yamada. Meanwhile, the girl is Ada's sister Runa. After Yamada first met Akane, and after she had passed out at the restaurant, he had taken her back to his place to rest. Yamada then got a text informing him he is late for team practice, but after apologizing to his teammates and telling them he was late because of a strange woman in his apartment, they all become curious. The team of pro gamers are shocked that Yamada has brought a girl home, and they demand that he show proof that she exists. A drunk Akane starts to make noise, so Yamada excuses himself to ask if she needs some water, but a confused Akane thinks that he is Takuma. She hugs him and starts to cry, while Yamada awkwardly doesn't know what to do, so he decides to just wait until she falls asleep. After returning her to bed, Yamada wonders what romance feels like. But he is interrupted again when Akane throws up. Akane and the rest of her guild members from Chocolate Rabbit all meet inside the cafe for the special Forest of Savior event. Although they all have been guildmates for a while, and have played the MMORPG Forest of Savior together, not all of them have met each other in person. Akane learns that the girl who she thought was Rory Hime, her guild master, is actually Runa, and Rory Hime is actually the game avatar for Ada, who has a cheerful personality. Ada is actually an old school friend of Yamada. Ada is also real-life friends with Takezo, an old man who specializes in raiding dungeons, but another guildmate Akane has never met. Akane tries to figure out who Runa is, still a little shocked that she isn't Rory Hime, and that the bubbly Rory Hime was a guy online all along. Ada starts to rant about his cute avatar, who he considers to be both his bride and his alter ego. Ada also insists that although other people don't usually understand, he thinks that this situation is very normal. Akane is just sad that she confided in relationship advice with a guy. Takezo explains that Ada had used Runa as a base model for Rory Hime, which is why she looks so alike to the character. But when Runa discovers that Akane and Yamada know each other, she becomes incredibly suspicious of Akane's intentions and gives her many angry glances. Akane reveals that she overheard Rory Hime acting flirty to Yamada, so she thought they were in a relationship. But Yamada tells her that Ada likes to roleplay, and Yamada decided to go along with it since he was the younger classmate. Akane accidentally blurts out that she is glad that Yamada isn't dating. Runa quickly notices and starts to interrogate Akane, but before she can get too far, Ada stops her from chasing Akane away. An embarrassed Akane accidentally drops her glass of water after staring at Yamada, and although he offers to help her, Akane becomes troubled because she thinks she might have accidentally caught some feelings. As Akane recovers, she discovers Ada has picked up on the romantic tension and that Runa is still very angry at her. Takezo tells Akane that the four of them had met playing games previously, although Runa doesn't usually play that much anymore because she doesn't like MMOs. Takezo also tells Akane that he was very excited to meet Akane in person, which shocks Runa. Meanwhile, Ada meets Yamada outside, who had left the cafe misunderstanding Akane, thinking that she is upset with him. Ada tells him that Akane was probably just embarrassed. Yamada had originally told Ada that Akane was just like her character in FOS, but Ada thinks that there is much more to Akane than her cheerful exterior. Ada tells him that Yamada will never get a girlfriend if he doesn't understand girls better, and Yamada is reminded about his last relationship as a young kid, where he left a young girl crying. With the meetup complete, the rest of the guild say their goodbyes and promise to meet each other again. But Runa tells Takezo that she hates that Akane has intruded into the rest of their lives. She announces her mission to get rid of Akane and get her expelled from the group. Since Akane and Yamada live close, they both take the train back together. But when Akane tries to make conversation with Yamada about the meetup, he gives non-committal answers and doesn't say very much. Meanwhile, Akane notices many other girls staring at them on the train, and she realizes that they are all looking at Yamada. Akane thinks about Yamada's good looks and Runa's accusatory gazes, but tells herself that she isn't interested in Yamada. She then asks Yamada if he would like dinner together, but he just takes them to get pudding at a convenience store. On their way back, Yamada reveals that all of his meals are from the convenience store, and he eats mostly junk food. Akane becomes worried about his diet, so she asks him to wait for 15 minutes at a bench nearby while she rushes back to her apartment. While Yamada sits, Akane quickly runs back to her place to get some leftover rice and curry she had made previously to give to him. Akane excitedly offers the curry to him, while Yamada tries to refuse but eventually gives in after smelling the curry. Akane suddenly gets a phone call and discovers that Runa had gotten her number. Runa apologizes to Akane for acting so coldly towards her during the meetup, and reveals that she got Akane's phone number from Ada. She wants to spend some time with Akane, who quickly accepts. Akane shares the good news with Yamada, and is very happy to spend time with Runa on Sare. She asks Yamada more about Runa as well. But when Yamada returns back to his apartment, he notices from his calendar that he and Runa have a private tutoring session on Sari, and he becomes suspicious of Runa's intentions. Yamada is troubled by this, so he contacts Ada about Runa's schedule to confirm that he will be tutoring Runa on Sari. Once Ada tells him that Runa will still have her tutoring session with him, Yamada feels bad for Akane, who expresses interest in meeting Runa but is unable to tell Akane the truth. Meanwhile on Sari, Runa arranges a middle-aged man to meet with Akane instead, telling him that he will be meeting with the true Rory Hime. The man is super happy to meet who he thinks is Rory Hime, even though Akane tries very hard to correct him. Akane desperately wants to leave, but Runa sends her a text asking her to wait there, forcing Akane to stay in her uncomfortable situation. Soon Akane excuses herself to go to the ladies' room and she tries to call Runa. Meanwhile, Yamada arrives at Runa and Ada's house to help tutor Runa. But while Runa is excited to see him, Yamada gently scolds her that she has other plans she had made. Runa denies scheduling other plans, but Yamada quickly notices that Runa is avoiding a phone call. The situation gets worse for Akane when the man seems to follow her because she is taking too long, and he creepily tries to break into her stall. Yamada scolds Runa for the prank she is playing on Akane, and informs her that she might be putting Akane in danger. They run into Ada and Yamada explains the situation. They discover that Runa had logged into Ada's account to set up the prank by pretending to be Rory Hime. Runa feels sad but she feels threatened by Akane, and doesn't want the friendship between her, Ada, Yamada, and Takezo to be disrupted. Suddenly, a concerned Takezo arrives after Yamada, and Ada messages him about the situation, and the emotional Takezo gets them to check up on Akane. Ada tries to ask Runa to apologize to Akane, and that this kind of behavior is why she doesn't have friends at school. An annoyed Runa is tired of hearing about Akane, but Ada reminds her that Akane is trying very hard to be friends with her. The guildmates eventually arrive at the meeting place, and they spot Akane with the stranger. Takezo arrives to scold the man to defend Akane, but it turns out that Akane was not in any danger. Ada and Yamada spot an injury on Akane's leg, and it turns out that although Akane was startled by the man, he was trying to give her medicine in case she was sick. Akane still ended up hurting herself, however, by hitting her leg on the toilet. Meanwhile, Yamada tries to apologize for not telling Akane that he was tutoring Runa, but Akane doesn't understand that she is getting pranked, and Yamada doesn't correct her. Runa approaches, but when Akane starts to understand the situation, Runa starts to run away. Akane tries to go after her but is prevented by her leg injury, which makes Runa feel bad for Akane. Ada tries to take Runa away for a major scolding, but Akane notices and pretends to have a major stomachache. She uses the excuse to get everyone else, but her and Runa to go to the drugstore so that she can have a chat alone with Runa. Although Runa feels uncertain, Akane speaks normally to her, asking about her FOS characters and what she likes to do in game. And uncomfortable, Runa confesses that she was trying to stand up to Akane and that she had planned everything. But although she is annoyed, Akane remembers how Runa was worried about her leg injury, and she tries once again to make friends with Runa. Runa quickly bursts into tears and the two of them manage to reconcile. Meanwhile, the rest of the guild arrive and are happy to see Runa and Akane finally getting along. Later, Akane confesses to Yamada that she is still a little annoyed at Runa, but she doesn't want to jeopardize a future friendship. But the two are suddenly interrupted by the stranger who unexpectedly proposes marriage, which Akane firmly rejects. Runa's selfish and childish tendencies are a result of her upbringing, as she grew up overly sheltered by Ada and her parents. Although they supported her by giving her everything she wanted, and she made a lot of friends in online games, this overall stunted her social skills. To make matters worse, when Runa would go to school, her naturally pretty looks but cold behavior made other students angry and they bullied her. Runa also gained a fashion sense centered around gothic Lolita, and she quickly became isolated at school. This has resulted in a situation where Runa is loud and obnoxious at home, but painfully shy and withdrawn in public. Since she struggles with friendships outside of video games, she considers Akane her first real female friend. So Runa has started a habit of visiting Akane after school to talk about what happened at school, even though Akane is older and has a personality that is very different from Runa. Akane's cheerful demeanor does seem to influence Runa, however, as they mimic a dance together on the street after watching some dancers playing happily outside. Later, the two of them spend time with Momoko, but Momoko becomes angry when she complains about her lack of a boyfriend, and the other girls just want to play video games. Momoko scolds Akane for playing games all day with Runa, and Runa is unable to express her displeasure because Momoko is too scary for her. They end up talking about FOS, where Akane is happy that Yamada has accepted her friend request. But Runa points out that Akane is still too underleveled to do dungeons with Yamada, as it wouldn't be worth his time. She runs into Yamada in-game and tries to show off her equipment and build which she copied from him, but Yamada explains that because they are different classes her build is actually useless. He offers to give her equipment, but Akane decides to grind and earn her equipment on her own, and Yamada shocks everyone by using a smile emote. An upset Momoko tries to get Akane's attention, so Akane asks Momoko if she'd be interested to try FOS with her, but suddenly Akane's computer blows up. When Runa later returns home, she explains to Ada that Akane is very sad her computer has broken, and will have to save up money to play again. So to help her out, Runa and Ada arrange for Yamada to help try to repair Akane's computer. At first Yamada doesn't want to help because he is flooded with exams, but after remembering how excited Akane was to play FOS with him, he agrees to at least take a look. Akane prepares some snacks for Runa and Yamada, and she tries to make her apartment friendly for Yamada because she doesn't think he has been in girls' apartments before. Suddenly, Yamada thanks her for the curry she gave him a couple days before, which makes Akane very happy. Runa notices and she remembers that when she, Ada, and Yamada were hanging out one day, Ada had mentioned that Akane could be a good match for Yamada. Runa then sends a picture of Akane and Yamada to Ada, and he persuades her to try to help him set the two of them up somehow. Unfortunately, Runa is very inexperienced in romance and she relies on her knowledge of romance manga instead. Drawing from common romance tropes, Runa tries to get Akane and Yamada closer to each other, such as stuffing Akane's mouth with toast, but Akane just eats it. Runa then pushes Akane into Yamada, but this ends up backfiring when it causes Yamada to injure his eye. But somehow this also works by getting Akane's face close to Yamada's. The surprised Yamada quickly excuses himself, claiming he forgot his computer repair tools so he can make a hasty exit. Troubled by how close their faces became after he hurt his eye, Yamada makes a hasty retreat from Akane's apartment, even though she expresses concern for him. He is reminded of a girl in his younger days who was bullied in his class. She asked him to protect her, but he could not. Later, an older Yamada buys a beverage at a local convenience store. The employee recognizes him because she used to go to his school, but when she asks for his number he declines. Yamada only understands games, not social interaction, so he leaves the store awkwardly. He returns back to Akane's apartment to continue helping with her broken laptop, but he finds both Akane and Runa napping after eating some food. They remind him of seals, and Yamada tries to work on the laptop without waking them up. But while he is trying to quietly work, he can't help but watch the sleeping Akane, who has set aside some food for him. After a few moments, he is interrupted by the doorbell ringing. He opens the door to a shocked Takuma, who is a big fan of him. Takuma remembers that Akane introduced Yamada as her new boyfriend, but Yamada quickly denies it. Takuma is also pretty certain because Yamada's social media said nothing about dating. Takuma has come to give back Akane's lunch containers. When they were still dating, Akane would often make lunch for him and leave the containers at his place. He is also interested in checking up on Akane and seeing if she is alright, and Yamada is a little uncertain about letting Takuma in. More understanding of the situation, Takuma agrees to leave without seeing Akane and asks Yamada not to tell her he came by. Suddenly the door opens and Akane appears. Yamada gives her the boxes and tries to tell her he found them, but Akane can tell he is lying. Yamada also gives back her hair clip since it fell off her hair while she was sleeping. He can't really explain why he was staring at her while she was sleeping, and the two of them become a little awkward. Later, Akane gets a job interview at a nearby convenience store to help pay for the laptop repairs. She tells Momoko that she won't be able to hang out as often since she wants to pay Yamada back for helping her. Meanwhile, Momoko goes on another group date with no success. Now that her laptop is repaired, Akane resumes playing FOS. She finds Ada online and introduces her to Takezo's character. Takezo is a very tiny fair and the deputy guildmaster of the guild. Akane finds the fact that he is so tiny very charming. She also asks Ada how much it cost Yamada to fix her laptop, but Ada keeps the cost of the repairs a secret. Akane continues to insist she needs to pay back for the repairs, so Ada decides that her form of payment will be to help them raid dungeons. Meanwhile at school, Yamada is helping to prepare for a school festival. His good looks attract the attention of a lot of girls, but Yamada is just focused on gaming. He continues to ignore a lot of the girls in his class until they tell him his phone has been ringing non-stop. In class, he thanks his classmate Tsubaki who helped watch his phone for him. She points out that in his recent live streams, his FPS skills have degraded since he has been playing too many MMOs. Suddenly, Yamada gets a notification that his guild will be taking part in the upcoming cultural festival as representatives of FOS, and Tsubaki expresses some interest in trying the game. Later, Yamada brings more equipment for Akane to improve her gaming experience. He brings her a new GPU and switches out her hard drive with a better model that Ada had in storage. And although Akane is happy with the improvements, she has no idea what he is talking about. After he leaves, Akane gets online to play FOs again, and the guild hosts an event to welcome her back. To celebrate, Ada and Takezo take her to a dungeon together, and Akane is shocked when Takezo's tiny fairy becomes a huge and powerful monster. A few days later, the school festival begins, so the guild members all arrive to represent FOS. Akane complains to Runa and Takezo about her new job, since she finds retail work very tough. Meanwhile, Ada has already arrived and has attracted a lot of attention due to his bunny ears and his good looks. Akane enjoys walking around and exploring the festival, as it reminds her of her own high school days. Ada and Takezo partake in a lot of food, but Runa seems to be in a bad mood. Takezo tells Akane that she is stressed about upcoming exams, so Akane hopes to cheer Runa up somehow. As Ada takes Takezo into a haunted house, Akane decides to take Runa with her to explore the rest of the festival. But when they are walking together, Runa starts to feel unwell because of stress. Akane quickly takes Runa to the nurse's office and agrees to meet up with the rest of the guild later. She wonders if Yamada is on campus and almost texts him, but decides not to. Suddenly, she sees Yamada coming out of a classroom, but she decides not to approach him because he is smiling and surrounded by other students. Finding the atmosphere a little awkward, she misses the opportunity. But right as she is about to leave, Yamada approaches her since he saw her earlier. They talk about the guild, and Runa experiencing some stress, and Tsubaki watches them from afar. Later at the nurse's office, the nurse determines that Runa isn't sick, she's just hungry. Yamada wants to let Ada know that Runa is fine, but Runa begs them not to say anything in case Ada decides to take her home. Akane offers to get food for Runa at the festival, but Runa quickly orders a lot of food. Yamada and Akane go back to the festival to get food, but other students start to wonder if Akane is Yamada's girlfriend. They notice the awkward atmosphere, so Akane tries to flee, but things become even more embarrassing. Yamada's gym teacher congratulates him for dating a college student. The loud gym teacher makes this worse by announcing everything out loud, so the nearby girls confront Akane and Yamada directly. They try to explain the situation, and are exhausted after being interrogated. Meanwhile, Takezo and Ada are enjoying the festival, and meets up with them. Ada jokes about the rumors, and suggests that Akane and Yamada should just start dating anyway. Though when Yamada tries to make a joke by agreeing, his cold demeanor accidentally makes Akane believe him for a moment. She quickly determines that they were joking, and an embarrassed Akane flees after scolding both of them. Yamada runs after feeling bad for his ill-conceived joke. Akane can't stop thinking about the joke, and in her embarrassment she tries to get further away. And when she notices Yamada following her, she tries to escape, until he uses her first name to get her attention. Tsubaki watches from nearby as Yamada apologizes for his joke. Akane is just shocked that he knew her first name, and they suddenly become surrounded by girls. Akane forces them to retreat to a better spot, and Yamada apologizes for making her angry. But Akane tells him that she wasn't angry, just embarrassed. Akane suddenly asks what Yamada would have done if she had agreed to date him. But when Yamada starts to think deeply, she passes it off as a joke when she grows embarrassed. To Akane's shock, Yamada tells her that he didn't think much of a potential relationship with her because he considers her very exceptional and out of his league. A perplexed Akane is flattered, and they return to the festival together. Earlier, Yamada's classmates had begged him to participate in the school festival beauty pageant due to his good looks. This will also get lots of girls from the school to visit the class. Yamada's classmate Okamoto decides to volunteer Yamada for him. But although rumors spread that Yamada will be in the pageant, it is actually Okamoto that takes Yamada's place. The girls are shocked, and angrily tell him to get off the stage while he is defended by the male audience. The audience becomes so loud that the guild members in the nurse's office hear the commotion. One day Yamada is buying food from a convenience store as usual when he finds Akane working there. Akane asks how Runa is doing, since Yamada is her tutor and Runa has been focused on studying instead of video games. They agree to hang out after her shift, and one of Akane's co-workers, Ms. Shinohara, compliments Yamada on his good looks. Later, she teases Akane about Yamada even though they aren't dating. Akane is happy that Yamada seems a lot closer to her now compared to when they just played FOS together. After her shift, they walk together and Akane gives Yamada a homemade lunch to thank him for helping fix her laptop. Meanwhile, Akane is still a little troubled about the events at the festival. Suddenly, a distracted Akane gets saved by Yamada when she is almost hit by a passing bicycle, and the two of them don't mention what happened. Akane meets Momoko and expresses her concern about the situation. She grapples with whether it would be acceptable for her to have feelings for Yamada since she is older than him. Momoko tells her to not overthink things, and Akane needs to decide her feelings for herself. Suddenly, Akane gets a call from Runa who tells her that the guild is facing a serious crisis, and they need to meet immediately. That evening they meet at a park, and Runa brings terrible news. A new girl that Runa doesn't know is going to join the guild, and Runa doesn't know how to handle it. Akane tries to cheer her up with chocolate, but a new person gives Runa a lot of anxiety. Akane reminds Runa that she might be able to become friends with the new girl as well, but Runa becomes concerned that Akane and the new girl will like each other better than her. After calming down a little, Runa reveals that the new girl is from Yamada's class, and she usually plays FPS games with him. Akane is surprised that Yamada has a female friend at school. Suddenly, Runa puts Yamada's number in Akane's phone, and she asks Akane to meet the new girl somehow to see if she is friendly. Meanwhile, Tsubaki is at cram school with Yamada and Okamata. She thanks Yamada for introducing her to FOS and asking his guildmaster if she can join his guild. Since other girls at their school don't really play games, Tsubaki doesn't have anybody else to talk about video games. Yamada suddenly gets a call from an unknown number, and Okamata starts to tease him. Suddenly, Tsubaki asks Yamada if he is into romance, and he tells her he is not interested in relationships. After cram school, Yamada calls the number since they are out of class and discovers that Akane was the one who called him. She tries to explain that Runa was asking about him, but she is also heading to work soon even though she's starting to get sick. Later, a worried Tsubaki asks about Yamada's phone call, and he reveals that Akane is a guildmate in FOS. Tsubaki confronts him and asks if he has feelings for Akane. But although Yamada has fond memories of Akane, he can't really decide on a clear response. Meanwhile, Akane arrives for an emergency shift at work, and is not happy to work while she is starting to feel sick, but she is comforted by her recent interactions with Yamada and Momoko. Tsubaki also logs into FOS for the first time, where Rorihime's Ada has invited her to the guild, but it is clear that she has a crush on Yamada. Elsewhere, Yamada is tutoring Runa. But Runa suddenly gets a call from Akane saying that she is too sick to play FOS with her. Akane has actually gotten a lot worse due to overwork, and it is too late to go to the doctor's office. She decides to power through the night somehow, and get some food, but when she tries to leave she almost passes out on her bike. The passing Yamada sees a very sick Akane struggling to stay awake, and he catches her as she passes out. In her confused state, Akane believes she is dreaming about Yamada, but in reality he gently carries her back to her apartment. Tsubaki and Okamata are waiting for Yamada to finish his tutoring session, and they don't hear from him. Okamata wonders if he is hanging out with a girl, and he teases Tsubaki that she needs to confess her feelings towards Yamada or he will find someone else. He stops joking when she starts to cry, and he apologizes to her. Tsubaki first met Yamada after he beat her in an FPS game. She confronted him at school and asked him to teach how to get better at gaming. Yamada agreed, and for several hours he taught her more about the FPS game. Tsubaki had initially thought Yamada had cheated, but after watching him she confesses that he is actually very skilled. This led her to fall in love with him, but now Tsubaki is worried that Yamada might be falling for someone else. This is especially worrying for Tsubaki because when they were younger Yamada once shared a story about a classmate who was bullied a lot because she had feelings for him. This eventually led the girl to be depressed over the rumors and she transferred to a different school. As a result, Yamada decided to avoid all romance with girls, and to respect his choice Tsubaki kept her feelings hidden for a long time. But now Tsubaki wonders if she made the right choice, as Yamada's dismissive attitude for romance ended up stunting his social abilities. And she can feel that Yamada has hidden depths to him, and that he might be secretly wishing for an emotional connection. Meanwhile, Yamada takes care of Akane back in her apartment. She is hopelessly sick and unable to take care of herself, and he discovers that she has a terrible fever. Time passes as Akane fades in and out of consciousness, and Yamada searches for her medical information so he can take her to an emergency hospital. Afterwards, Akane wakes up in her apartment feeling better, and discovers Yamada sleeping in her room. A shocked Akane decides to open the window, but this accidentally wakes up Yamada. An awkward Akane thinks that she's still dreaming but ends up coughing a lot since she's still sick. After a slight panic attack, Yamada puts her back in bed and he explains that he found her collapsed near the apartment bikes. Akane realizes that her dream of Yamada carrying her wasn't a dream at all, and she becomes extremely self-conscious. After he tells her about taking her to a hospital, she cries out of gratitude and tries to hug him, but he avoids her since she's still sick. They end up talking about a book about breakups that Akane has been reading, and an emotional Akane thanks Yamada again. But thinking about the girl who transferred away from his school, Yamada tells her that he isn't the person she thinks he is. Akane talks about her past relationship, and that she appreciated Takuma had broken up with her instead of lying about his feelings. She tells him that over time she has started to feel appreciation for their time together, and she wishes the best for Takuma. Yamada thinks back to the girl in his past, and he wonders if someday he will move on as well. Later, Yamada gives Akane some yogurt to eat, and Akane starts to feel self-conscious again having Yamada in her apartment. She starts to feel a cramp on her leg, and Yamada suddenly helps to give her a massage to recover. Although she has a violent reaction, Akane starts to feel a lot better from the massage. Akane becomes shocked when a relaxed Yamada suddenly starts to laugh, demonstrating he feels comfortable around her. The next morning, Yamada goes to leave after spending the night at the apartment. Akane suddenly feels the urge to touch him to thank him, but when he moves suddenly she panics and stops. Just before he is about to leave though, Akane reaches out again, but when Yamada wonders what's happening, she gives panicked excuses. Later, Momoko arrives with food for Akane since she is recovering in her apartment. As Momoko restocks her kitchen, Akane explains that Yamada took care of her while she was sick, which shocks Momoko, who asks if they have suddenly started dating. Akane explains that he was just helping her, and Momoko is taken aback by Akane's obliviousness. But Akane does wonder what this means between her and Yamada, since he went far beyond what a friend would normally do. Before Momoko leaves, she advises Akane that timing is everything when it comes to love. Later, Akane makes food for herself and she thanks Yamada via text. She also gets a text from Runa, who is hoping that she feels better soon. Akane then logs into FOS since she is still recovering, and when she logs in she sees Ada with Tsubaki, who is her new guild member. Akane happily starts to explain the paladin class, since Tsubaki is a paladin as well. But Tsubaki reveals that she had actually already done a lot of research on the paladin class. Akane hopes to make a good impression on Tsubaki, though when the three of them go hunting, Akane and Tsubaki are overwhelmed. Akane asks Ada to help them, but Ada is too high level, so if he helps he will easily defeat the monster. Ada decides to give them some support from the sidelines, and Akane plans a strategy with Tsubaki where they spam their abilities until the boss dies. The strategy doesn't work, and Ada watches as they fail against the boss's mechanics. Afterwards, Tsubaki and Akane discuss their next strategy against the boss, and Ada is happy that they seem to be bonding. Though when Akane sends Tsubaki a friend request, Tsubaki has conflicting feelings. Akane decides to call Yamada for advice against the boss, but he tells her that he doesn't have much experience with bosses in that tier. He points out that the boss probably has a random gimmick that they need to discover, and Akane thinks about their next strategy. Meanwhile, Ada and Tsubaki chat together, and Tsubaki reveals that she doesn't have much interest in FOS, and she joined for more selfish reasons, but she doesn't reveal her crush on Yamada to Ada. Meanwhile, Akane and Yamada finish chatting about the boss, and Akane feels sad when they eventually stop talking. She calls Momoko and asks if they can meet for an important discussion. At a nearby cafe, Akane directly asks Momoko why she was dumped by Takuma. The Momoko reveals she is extremely disappointed with Akane because she thought that Akane had exciting news to share. A self-conscious Akane wonders if she was dumped because she had a fatal flaw or a bad habit which would make her undesirable. But before Momoko can give her advice, a group of boys recognize Momoko, and they forcibly join the table. Akane is unimpressed with the boys, who the girls find insensitive and annoying. Ada arrives, as he actually works as a waiter at the cafe. He senses that the girls are uncomfortable, so he ends up rescuing them by directing the two girls to another table. After Akane explains to Momoko how she knows Ada, who is her guildmaster, Momoko starts to become jealous because Akane somehow meets a lot of attractive guys online. Later, Ada finishes his shift and he is met outside by Akane and Momoko, but Akane reveals she has an important question for him. Akane had first met Ada as Worihime when she was just a beginner, and he helped fix her armor, so Akane feels brave enough to ask Ada about her past relationship. But at the last second she feels too embarrassed, so Momoko has to explain what Akane is trying to ask, that Akane is worried that she was dumped in her previous relationship because something was wrong with her. Ada assures Akane that she is much kinder than Takuma and that there is nothing wrong with Akane. He correctly guesses that she has feelings for Yamada, and tells her that he has known Yamada for many years, and that a direct approach would be best for him. Ada encourages Akane to be straightforward with her feelings for Yamada, and if she faces trouble he and Momoko will be there to support her. Feeling encouraged, Akane leaves, deciding to confess her feelings to Yamada. As soon as she leaves, Momoko seizes the opportunity to talk to Ada and tells him that she is looking for a boyfriend. Akane heads to the station, and as she travels to Yamada's place she thinks about all the times that he helped her. When she gets there, Akane hesitates after awkwardly saying hi to him. She tries to confess, but they get interrupted by his loud neighbors, and Yamada reveals he needs to leave for cram school soon. Akane decides to follow him to cram school, but she feels uncomfortable confessing in a public place. She wonders if she should confess at all, as she feels comfortable with the friendship that they have. At the cram school, Yamada promises to call her after his class, since she seems to have something important to tell him. But after cram school, it starts to rain. Since only Yamada has an umbrella, Okamata decides to create an opportunity for Yamada and Tsubaki to share an umbrella together. Meanwhile, Yamada wants to get home quickly so he can call Akane. Thanks to Okamata, Yamada and Tsubaki end up sharing an umbrella together, and while walking, Tsubaki asks about Akane. Yamada decides to leave Tsubaki the umbrella so he can head home himself, but before he leaves, Tsubaki runs after him. She slips and breaks her glasses by accident, and when he helps her, Tsubaki suddenly confesses to him. Tsubaki starts to cry and asks him to think about her feelings. Later, Akane gets a text from Yamada that they will have to call another day, which saddens her. The next day, while Yamada is tutoring Runa, Ada arrives and asks for the confession the day before. Yamada misunderstands him, assuming that Ada is referring to Tsubaki's confession, and he shocks Ada by admitting he is uncertain about his response. Ada is saddened by this and advises him to quickly give an answer. Yamada heads to the nearby convenience store where he meets Akane. He reveals he has been trying to reach her, and Akane can tell that something is troubling him, so she decides to postpone her confession to him. She tries to cheer him up by talking about her new gear in FOS, and she decides to draw a sketch of her character on his hand. Feeling encouraged, Yamada admits that he doesn't often understand the feelings of others, and he is so quiet because he is worried that he will say the wrong thing when talking to others. Akane comforts him and assures him that he has a kind and generous spirit. And that night, Yamada goes to meet Tsubaki. At first, the two of them are awkward with each other, and Tsubaki is certain she will be rejected. She tells him that she had a crush on him since they were first years, and that she has been holding in her feelings for him for a long time. But now, she feels she cannot stop herself anymore. Tsubaki launches into a rambling speech expressing the things he admired about him, which include his gaming skills, his good looks, and his quiet demeanor. But the speech starts to make Yamada feel uncomfortable. Tsubaki starts crying because she feels an immense relief from finally admitting her feelings, and Tsubaki is not surprised when Yamada kindly rejects her. Yamada tells her that he has feelings for someone else, and Tsubaki recognizes Akane's FOS character sketched onto his hands. She asks him directly if he has feelings for Akane, and for the first time he admits his feelings. Tsubaki thanks Yamada for hearing her out, and she heads home thinking about the times they had together, starting to cry after she leaves his sight. Meanwhile, Akane goes out for dinner with Ada, Runa, and Takezo to try out a new fancy restaurant. Akane wonders if Yamada could join them, and she feels disappointed she hasn't confessed yet. Ada tells her to not worry too much about him, and that he will be arriving later. Meanwhile, Takezo is recognized by many patrons at the restaurant, and he is actually a powerful company president in real life. The four of them have dinner together, and several expensive gifts are sent to them from other restaurant patrons due to Takezo's influence. Ada hopes to be as influential as Takezo one day, but Takezo feels indebted to Ada and the guild because thanks to them he can let his guard down and just play video games. Eventually, Yamada arrives at the restaurant, but finds Akane very drunk. The rest of the guild reveals that Akane drank a lot of special sake and has become very clingy. They tell him if Akane becomes too annoying to leave her outside the restaurant. Yamada decides to take Akane outside to get her some fresh air, and he gets her some water. Akane starts to sober up and apologizes for her behavior, which included her singing songs very badly. She tells him that she'll head home and he can go back to the restaurant. But Yamada is reluctant to leave a drunk Akane in this part of town, so he decides to walk her home. They have a moment together when Yamada helps Akane when her shoe gets stuck, leading them to holding hands together. At her apartment, Yamada starts to leave when Akane suddenly asks if he has feelings for her. Yamada smiles and admits that he likes her, but that they should talk the next day so that she can better remember his confession after she recovers from drinking. The shocked Akane tells him she will call him in the morning, and they say goodbye with a hug. The next morning, Akane and Yamada call each other and confirm their feelings for each other, formally entering into a relationship. But although at university Momoko is happy for her, she becomes shocked by their friends teasing that she suddenly has a younger boyfriend. Akane also worries that she might be a distraction or burden to Yamada since he will be studying for university entrance exams soon. But Yamada tells her not to worry, revealing he was enjoying watching her talk. They hold hands and walk home together, and Yamada thinks about the first time he met Akane, and how a lost shoe somehow led them together. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.